10. It's Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me. Hope you are well, staying cool and hydrated on this Saturday. I've not discussed a lot of rhetoric pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells for the obvious reasons. Nothing has been viable or the truth pertaining to her disappearance, but due to the fact that there's new information in the queue, I decided to go out on a limb and discuss the said information. This is a two-part live, and I'm going to discuss two subject matters. The first one will be pertaining to Dawn's past allegations of SA, of said sisters, stepsisters, and then the new allegations of a social worker giving said information to someone, boyfriend. He goes and tells a friend, then that friend tells his girlfriend, wife, whomever, and then she decides to find BK to give the said information. Two-part live. Thank you for joining me. As far as Dawn's past, the allegations that have come forward, alleged investigations out west in Utah pertaining to sexual assaulting young girls, relatives. See, this is where I have the problem with that information. Donald Wells had children before he met Candace Bly. So why didn't any of you women come forward to say that he had touched you, violated you when you were a child adult? I find it very strange that you would wait until a child goes missing out of the holler to then come forward to say, well, he touched me, so possibly he touched his child, and that's why she's missing. You see, some of you think that these people are noble for coming forward, but you have to look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is Donald Wells had children before he made children with Candace Bly. There were allegations that he attempted to sell his children. That now has been reopened, that said commentary with Mary on another network. And what I have to ask myself is the obvious. Before there was a Candace Bly, before there were children with Candace Bly, he had children with another woman. So why didn't any of you women come forward to law enforcement many moons ago when there were allegations of abuse, drug usage, allegations of selling children, offering children to you for money? Let's keep it 100 now. Allegedly from one of the sisters who's going to take the children in that he had, or a child, there was, from my understanding, conversation about money, $10,000 or so. So I'm speaking from a logical standpoint. If you knew what your brother was about 10, 15, 20 years ago, that he touched you, touched another sister, other children, neighborhood kids, his own kids, physical abuse of his own children, allegations of him selling his own children, attempted to sell his own children, why in the world would you now feel like this is pertinent information to bring forward because a child is missing? You should have said this a long time ago to law officials out in Utah. And I'm not here to judge anybody's past of being an abuse victim. That's not the point. The point is, if you thought that somebody is abusive in any way towards a child, you should have went to authorities and DHS in Utah back then. This is not Donald Wells' first rodeo with breaking the law, alleged abuse, so you say. So if this man has been assaulting children, and 9 times out of 10, he was an abuse. He was a product of abuse, because this is where most children learn to molest other children. Children are curious by nature to touch other children. We know this. But 9 times out of 10, Donald was also a victim of child molestation. But that is not to excuse his behavior. But if nobody is knowing that he is touching other children, then the abuse will continue. And perhaps it continued as he became an adult. So now it would be hard to try to conform his mind to stop touching children. But nonetheless, I'm not excusing the behavior. What I'm trying to say is the obvious. Donald Wells has had a long history, allegedly, of touching kids. So therefore, you relatives out there in Utah knew of his behavior, knew of his criminal past early on, and yet you never went to law officials to say anything about the children he had before. Why not? And now you want to come forward and just keep going on and on about what he allegedly did to this sister, that sister, when you should have said something a long time ago. Then you have the sister now saying 5 more people have come forward to bring forth allegations against Donald. Okay, once again, where were those 5 years ago? You mean to tell me nobody heard that Donald Wells had children with the other woman or wife? Nobody was curious or concerned about the welfare of those children. And allegedly he has a son that has sexual assaults on his criminal background, which leads us to believe the obvious. Donald Wells was abused. Possibly he abused his son and children sexually, and or they were in the company of other friends, relatives that abused them. So now they have the propensity to abuse children. Fast forward from that relationship and children, he now has a relationship with Candace Bly and children, and now allegations that there was some sexual assault going on. But as I said, nobody can verify it because nobody's supposed to be telling that. That's of a professional nature, such as a social worker or law enforcement. They're never going to reveal that to the public. And especially with everything that's happened, you know damn well that will never come out. If he indeed molested his children, or if the wife participated as well, or any other outsiders. That's my first commentary pertaining to Donald Wells. Why are you all just now coming out talking about sexual assault? You act as if his other children were not important. They were not relevant. Well, they were. They were innocent victims as well if they were actually assaulted by their father, abused by their father, neglected by their father. Also the mother too. It's all the same. Day late, dollar short in my book. I'm very leery of anybody coming out with information 15, 20 years later when you should have said something before, because this is not Don's first rodeo with children, having children, abuse with children, neglect with children, allegations of trying to sell his children. Did you go to authorities to say your brother tried to sell his child? How about that? Before the Wells children came about, did any of you sisters go to authorities to say that Donald Wells attempted to sell his original child or children many years ago? I like an answer. Because all this he said, she said is owed to me. All this jumping up on platforms, being interviewed, it's owed to me. And it's not to take away anybody being abused. It's not the point. The point is having guilty knowledge and waiting when it was convenient to come forward to say, well, I think he may have touched this child and that's why she ain't here. You got to have proof he molested any of these said children that are now in the state's care and one that's missing. And if you were not dealing with Donald Wells, you didn't visit him, you didn't see him, you weren't around his children, then you can't say what he was doing with his children, he or Candace Bly. And we have seen their behavior. We see how they live. So we know that the children didn't have the best life. The children were unkempt. The property is in disarray. The house is also in disarray. The obvious. The children didn't have the best life. But that's the thing about being a child. That's what they were subjected to. So that's all that they know. Why come out now? Part 2, the social worker who has decided to give information about the younger boy child allegedly has dealt with the younger child to some type of professional capacity as a therapist or social worker allegedly. If this allegation is true, let's go with the obvious. Why are you telling this information when you took an oath to protect the child's identity and their welfare? So you have broke protocol and ethics, if this is true, if this person actually exists, to go and find a YouTuber, the worst one you could ever find, to repeat this information. But yet you don't want to be identified. Nobody wants to be identified. But yet She's telling the boyfriend's telling his male friend's telling his girlfriend, and now that girlfriend is on a YouTuber's channel talking in a live recorded audio. How does that make any logical sense? I don't want nobody to know nothing. And it all starts with the head honcho, the alleged social worker. You broke protocol and ethics, and you were out of line. You never tell anything. And we don't know if these people are actually real, exist, because it's all he said and she said. Excuse me, a little bumpy there. Sorry about that. He said and she said. So why in the world would I believe anything coming from the mouth of BK? And at the end of the audio you will hear they sought him out. And that's all I needed to hear. Speaking mild-mannered during this alleged conversation of concern, that's a flip of the coin considering your demeanor on this network. Trying to appear professional and dignified, but yet you have not. And let's go with the obvious. You turned on Candace Bly, so why would you not turn on these people who stupidly gave the name of the guy who's allegedly dating the social worker? You want to donate to the channel, $, McAndrew, 129 Cash App, all super chats, stickers are welcome during this live. This is an alleged conversation about a he said and a she said pertaining to a boy child Wells and a therapist, social worker. Hell, we don't even have an exact title. Someone who allegedly was supposed to be helping the child and has now gone and repeated said information. You're entitled to believe what you want to believe, but I'm not getting ready to jump on board with nothing 1 year in. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you, honey. Hello, Marge. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Is this Kara?
It's Carly, yes.
Carly, sorry.
It's okay.
How are you?
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right.
Long day for me. A whole bunch of kids. Probably took them to the movies, and it was pretty hectic.
Yeah. So talk to me. What do you?
Thank you, TT.
What do you know, and how do you know it?
Okay. First, let me explain the reason why I am not going to any type of law enforcement, because I live in a very remote area, kind of like where the Wells are from. And here it's just, when people have made bad choices in their life and they get incarcerated and they try to report things like that, there's potential backlash. And I'm just not trying to look for that. In my early 20s, I made some stupid decisions and found myself in prison, and I'm just not trying to go back to any of that. So I have very good reasons why I'm not going to any law enforcement to explain any of this to anybody. So
Okay.
I have been following this for, I'm going to say about 3 months. Not as long as most, I guess, but, something like this, when it hits an area, it hits pretty hard. And consider people when they have children of their own, it's hard to have to watch that unfold. So, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I really don't have much time to do much of anything with my life but take care of kids. So at night I stay up and I watch this. I watch YouTube and all these other things, and I just kind of follow and listen. I never comment. I never talk to people, none of that stuff. So I was sitting here one day, and my husband calls me, and he says, I need to tell you something. I said, okay, is there something wrong? He says, no, there's nothing wrong. He says, but that Sarah Wells case that you've been following? I said, yeah. I said, what about it? He said, the guy that I work with is actually dating the social worker that's involved with this case. And I was like, oh. I said, did you get that? He's sitting here beside me.
Oh, he's sitting next to you. No, I didn't hear him. What did he say?
Yes.
She's not just a social worker controlling the case, but she is controlling the youngest child of the Wells, of the boys. She's psychologist, social worker. She works for CPS, but she's also a licensed therapist as well.
Okay. Right. So he, I don't know if the other children, but I know that he is actually in what they call an Isaiah house. And this child, she says that he just kind of stares at walls and he doesn't talk much and he's just kind of zoned out majority of his day. So they have a hard time even getting him to respond to anything they say to him.
This is the youngest boy.
Right.
Okay.
So he goes on to tell me, and I'm like, well, let me talk to the guy you work with because I want to hear this from him, So I get on the phone with him and I start asking him, what do you know about this? And he's like, well, she's dead. I said, well, how do you know that? He said, because my girlfriend is the social worker that deals with the youngest child. He's in what they call an Isaiah house, and he's traumatized from the whole incident. And I said, well, how do you know that she's no longer alive? And he said, because according to his girlfriend, that the Wells, both parents apparently had set something up because they owed a lot of money to somebody, and when it comes time to pay, Don couldn't pay. So they were actually directed to give not just Summer, but the youngest boy up for ransom. So it was both of them that were supposed to be given up. Something had happened that day, and everything fell apart. It went wrong. And during the time that they were taken from the home, apparently, I don't know if he said it was at the house when this happened or if it was away, but when the boy and the girl realized what was happening, Summer apparently tried to run, and the little boy ran, and something happened to where Summer got hurt, and they actually watched her cut that little girl's throat. And this is what he's told the social worker. But she's not.
Let me stop right here. Bambi, there's a reason I'm playing this. Because why not? I don't play everything and I don't repeat everything that I hear pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells, but I felt like I would go out on a limb today to show you how outrageous the case is still 1 year in, and how nobody has taken heed to what law enforcement said this week about storytelling, going to social media, repeating what Pookie said, Ray Ray said, Bubba said, and bringing that information to law enforcement when you don't know it's the truth and it's not verifiable. You're not seeing or hearing it firsthand, so don't bring it to us. I'm playing it because I want to prove a point of why the case is in the shape that it's in, because these people won't stop the gossip and spreading stuff. And this is why they're not telling us anything anymore, because of what this mess is that's been released now. Thank you for joining me.
I actually watched her cut that little girl's throat. And this is what he's told the social worker.
But she's not allowed to say anything because of an NDA.
An NDA act. So there's her as well as the guy that works with my husband, and like 5 local law enforcement knows about this, but according to him, nobody can say anything about this because she could actually go to jail for telling and lose, what job she has and anything that comes.
Well, I'm not. So it's been like, so it's reported essentially. Like this isn't a thing that I need to report necessarily, because the way I guess I understand it is that some law enforcement already knows, correct?
Well,
they do, but
it's kind of how law enforcement works. This is not it's like a tight-knit group of buddies.
Yeah, these guys have not reported it to anybody that needs to know.
In fear of their
own families being backlash or jobs. Right. The only reason that I chose to come to you, there's how many people I guess I could have went.
No,
I don't really know why I chose Boo. I guess just
I don't know why you chose him either.
And you could push something where you needed to go. I don't know.
Scream
I
queen.
absolutely can. What I need to do, so because it sounds,
the close that you spoke about last night, that the evidence is that's the young boy's clothes. That's his size.
Okay.
mediumship thing, that stuff wigs me out because I'm full-blown Christian. That stuff just sends me into a whirlwind inside of my emotions in my head. So I don't personally believe in that stuff, but I did, however, listen to a couple of those from the lady that apparently had some evidence that cracked another case with the Tali and another child that was murdered.
Donna Serafina.
Right, okay. So we were listening to those, and a lot of things that she touched on, my husband was like, wait a second. He's like, I know that there's a park in Tennessee that has a carousel, and we put it up on Google Maps, and there very well is. And it has a steam engine there that just sits there for looks, and you can go inside, and within 30 minutes at their house. So, I mean, but the boy also did say that they dumped her body in South Holston Lake. Now, mind you, South Holston Lake comes all the way from my house down to the Tri-Cities, so it is massive. It's where, who knows? I don't know.
Okay, so when is there a possibility that maybe sometime early in the morning, I mean, if I'm to believe the story, theoretically, I'm not saying I don't believe you at all. I'm not saying that.
I'm sure you get a lot of this stuff.
I don't get a lot of it. This is like the fourth call that I've had during the whole case that has been like this, and the other three were complete crackpots. So, but even then, each time that it comes, each time that it comes, I still have to treat it as if it's the real thing. I do the way that you're relaying and dictating the story to me. I believe you. So there isn't a huge push to necessarily report it right this second. I will talk to. I have a partner in crime. And I'm going to get with her, and I'm going to let her make the decision. I'm going to tell her the information. She's tight as a snare drum, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And then I'm going to get with my attorney as well. What we need to do is they're going to want to. I'm going to need to. Is there a way I can talk to that gentleman privately, secretly, away from his girlfriend or whatever? Like, this is.
I don't know. I mean, my husband wanted to know more about him. Just something kind of. He didn't want to talk to me. I'll tell you that.
Oh, he said that he didn't want to.
So, what's the social worker's name? Do we know this?
I don't know that. I mean,
Do
get that information.
Can you tell me his name, and maybe I can track her through him?
Because this is important, I will give you his name. Because I just, it's not.
I'm not going to exploit it. It has nothing to do with him.
You've done it already.
It has nothing to do with the social worker.
You've done it already.
It has everything to do with getting enough information. Because I don't have just a regular. I don't call 1-800-TBI fine. I've got a different route. But it's got to be like I can't bring. We got to just tighten it up just a little bit. And if I can just find her, to me, if I was able to find her through him and put, her on a social media somewhere with social worker title, I can do that very quickly, like in the next hour or so. If you could tell me.
And why would she do that? Have her title on a Facebook page? It's crazy.
His name's not going to come out.
You have
Get into a lot of trouble.
I put it on everything I love.
His family is very well known. As a matter of fact, I worked with his dad.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
He's a rich boy. I mean, I won't lie to you. His family is very well known.
He's just one of those guys. He's.
And I don't want no trouble. That's the thing. Like, you have to understand.
Yeah, right.
I don't, you have to understand. I got a beautiful little boy laying next to me, and just me getting information wrong. If I say the wrong thing about somebody, they jump in their vehicle and come see about me. Like, I'm an open book. I'm not hard to find. Like, everybody on the internet knows how to find me. So.
Right. And
Oh no, you're not that. It took us a while to try to find your damn number.
It's hard for me because, well,
There was a reason we looked for you is because we see how invested you actually are in this. You're not just one of those, oh, I'm trying to get the money bullshit.
You know what? I've already got money. That YouTube isn't. You know, I invest in cryptocurrency, and you know, this is just because I want to help. Like any money I make from YouTube, it goes into a business account, and I use that money to help people. I don't pay no bills with it. None of that. It's just to.
I'll go see all the backlash that you're getting on YouTube, and it fucking kills me. I listen to these motherfuckers dog you, and I want to get on there, but
I appreciate your support.
yeah, I'm a convicted felon, and now all they're going to do is dog me out once they find out who I am. So I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah, it's not worth it. But so, could you tell me the gentleman's name, and I can get snapping on it right now? Does he have social media?
Oh yes.
yes, he does.
He's got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. His name is Chase Galloway.
Chase Galloway. What city?
Yes. Bristol City.
Bristol, Tennessee.
Bristol, Tennessee.
Yeah,
Bristol,
there's
Tennessee.
The Virginia side and the Tennessee side.
How old is he?
23.
33?
23.
23.
Young kid.
23. Okay. Let me start digging right now. You gonna be up for a minute?
Yeah, we'll be here for a while.
Okay, give me about an hour. I'm gonna put both feet on the shovel real quick, and I'm gonna get going, and I'll get right back to you. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much, Ms. Carl.
You're welcome.
I'll call you soon.
welcome.
All right, bye.
That's the end of that commentary. I'm going to read somebody's comment 16 hours ago. I'm wondering if this Chase kid dating a supposed social worker is not dating a social worker. That makes no sense. But possibly involved in Summer's disappearance or spoken to someone involved. Easy way to distance yourself. Oh, Lord. Hold on a minute, you guys. Can't find where I was. Distance yourself from being involved is saying you heard it from someone investigating the case. No offense, but looking at this Chase Galloway profile, no way he's dating a psychologist and heard info from them. He either has inside knowledge of this whole story or is made up. However, I'd still report the info to Ellie because one never knows. I'd rather Ellie investigate something and find it not credible. Several problems with the story, but I'd pass it along to someone investigating the case. And why would you do that? Why are you think it's okay to pass this along to law enforcement? So you all don't pay attention to what the hell's been said. They're tired of you all calling them with he said and she said. Don't you think if a viable social worker has knowledge that the child was murdered or a child was sold, accident, you think she didn't report that to law enforcement per information from the said boy child? Stay woke. Number two, you have no business repeating anything that's going on with a said child that you are responsible for in the capacity as a professional. That is a doctor, nurse practitioner, psychiatrist, psychotherapist, counselor, guidance counselor, grieving counselor, social worker, intermediate, however the title is. You are working in an official capacity by the state, the government, whichsoever. You have no business. School, let me put that in there too. School, medical facility, entity. Why are you repeating it? And the only Chase Galloway I found, because I didn't scroll through all of them, I just went to the first one that had Bristol, Tennessee. The boy looks like a very young child. Naturally, I can't go into the entire Facebook page because it's private. Let me give you my commentary. Then I'm going to check out of here because this is buffoonery. Why in the world would you speak on this as a social worker? Why would you tell your boyfriend? You don't think that he would not get back that you told this information, this stuff about the Isaiah house? That's pretty personal. Now, one could say there could be some truth to that because why would they mention the name of a house? So what's the name of the house? A place that children go to get mental help? Because if you told that and that part is true, somebody's ass is going to be on the line. And I refuse to believe this social worker told this kid, how old is she, mind you? If he's a little spring duck, then she's possibly a spring duck. So we got two spring ducks quackity quack, quack, quack. Why? Who are all these people talking? So we got a social worker telling her boyfriend something about the child walking around numb, looking and staring at the walls. The boyfriend goes and tells his guy friend he works with. And then that guy friend goes and tells this girlfriend here. So it's Peter, Paul, Mary, and Marquisha. Yeah, I'm going to do that. He said and she said and he said and he said and she said and woo, woo, woo. Why? Who are these people repeating this gossip? Why tell the info knowing it can risk your job? What are you getting out of this? Because if you get fired, then you have lost a job. Could be also brought up on criminal charges for revealing personal information in an investigation involving a child and said minor children and possible the death of a child. You broke protocol. You broke ethics. So we got all these different people intertwining, and he said and a she said. Why did you go public? Go to BK of all people. And you all know that I try not to use other networks' names, but since he's the one repeating it, I don't really care who started the ball rolling, but so long as you're participating, you're a part of the problem. And this to me is a problem. Law enforcement has already told you this week, per TBI, we're not telling you nothing because you all like to stir up stuff and spin stuff out of control. And this is exactly what you're doing by releasing something that somebody allegedly told somebody. Then that somebody went and told Paul. Then Paul went and told his girlfriend. And then his girlfriend and him go seek out a YouTuber. And then the YouTuber is recording the damn conversation and asking for this boy's name, and then got the nerve to say he ain't gonna put him on blast. He gonna keep it close to the vest. How the fuck are you gonna keep it close to the vest? And she didn't gave his name. All of you all are dirty. Every single one of you. And the fact that you went and took it to this head knocker, that shows me you like drama too, because he's a scream queen. And you took this dirty business, he said, she said, to a scream queen who's turned on the bio mother of the children. And let's go there. What is BK's relationship with Candace Bly and Donald Wells now? Does he currently talk to them? Does he visit Donald Wells in the jail? Yeah, I'll wait. And then he wants to sit here and try to play the role like he's a professional, talking like he just got a degree from Harvard. That ain't how you normally talk when you get on this live microphone. Now, all of a sudden, and I will talk to my attorney, and I know somebody close, and blah, blah, blah. If I didn't know any better, I thought I was listening to a politician. You all ought to be ashamed of yourselves. This is ridiculous, yes. Repeating gossip from person to person. Why are you people coming forward 1 year later with this he said and she said? I'm so sick of hearing about SA, Utah, the Cooking Network, horse stables, who said what, who's on first, who's on second. Now a social worker talked to the boyfriend went and talked to the friend, his friend went and talked to his girlfriend, now they talking to BK. Everybody's scared to talk to the police. You scared to talk to the police because you know they already warned you all, don't be bringing no bone here. Don't carry no bone to TBI, FBI, and the Sheriff's Department. Because if you don't know the people personally, the children or the parents, we don't want to hear it. And they have every right to say that. One year later, talking horses. You don't want to go to the police because of backlash, blah, blah, blah. Because as I said, the police told you don't call them with no damn gossip. You don't want your name out there, but you didn't mind giving out this Chase's name. So how was that right to throw this boy under the bus? Let's just say this is true. Come on, Law. We gonna play school for a minute. Let's just say for the record, this he said, she said is true about the Wells child. He's numb, he's blank, staring at the walls. One, you broke protocol and ethics. Two, one person after another spread the information and you threw out somebody's alleged government name as the boyfriend. How do you think he's gonna feel hearing his name on YouTube? And all this BS about a tight-knit group, tight-knit law enforcement group that know about the situation. I really couldn't understand the conversation if you all were trying to say that these 5 guys or whomever went and told law officials or they didn't tell because they don't want their name out there. But all of you whispering allegedly in a circle, telling Peter, Paul, Dick what the hell happened with the child. The child was killed, throat slashed, selling of her and the brother. She took off running. She had an accident. Blah, blah, blah. How did she have an accident if her neck got slashed? I'll wait. See, you all don't think before speaking. Which is it? She was murdered or she fell and hit her head on a rock? I'll wait. And then we have this YouTuber trying to speak as if he's eloquent. Harvard grad. Don't want no trouble. Well, you're stirring up trouble by repeating this BS. Recorded lying. And they're stupid to be sitting there talking to you. And this is the part of the YouTube I don't care for. Because I told you all I don't like this. He said, she said, it's gotten out of control. We're bringing all this he said, she said, and it has not helped the case. And TBI has told us that this week publicly. That the he said and the gossip and the speculations and the psychics and the calling them, worrying the hell out of them, tying up their lines, writing letters, fussing at them, cussing them out has gotten nowhere. And to this day, you don't have one person arrested for the disappearance of Samuel Wells. I don't want to cause no trouble, Mr. BK says. Well, you're causing trouble. You've caused nothing but trouble since you decided to have a platform. You're very meddlesome and meddling, and you're very unprofessional. And the fact that you talk about your child sleeping next to you and you don't want trouble, you've never cared about your child, because if you did, your behavior would show that. And a decent human being with children would not be on social media cursing people out, calling people names, cussing and fussing, getting involved in things that don't concern them. If you want to watch a case and speculate, that's your choice. But you've immersed yourself in the case, and you've also turned on the bio donor. So why the fuck am I going to believe you won't turn on Chase? It's already out there. And this lady was wrong for giving up his name. You are out of line, lady. You and your boyfriend, husband, whoever the hell you all are. You've now thrown this boy under the bus, if indeed it's true what he was told your boyfriend and what his girlfriend allegedly told him. Do you see how diabolical this is? This is the reason why ain't nobody been arrested. Because possibly this was a well thought out plan to disregard a child, harm a child, whether it was selling of the child, killing the child, whichsoever. You all think this is a game. And I'd like to see if something happened to one of you all, one of your children go missing, and everybody start jumping in and doing exactly what the fuck you're doing. Let's see how you would feel. You wouldn't feel too good. This is ridiculous. You all have no regard for children. And to sit up and say you got a child, that is the utmost punch to the gut. It's disrespectful. And you act like your child is not going to ever grow up and see all this crazy nonsense you spewed out on social media pretending to care. You don't care about the Wells children. You don't care about yourself. You don't care about your own. And all these people calling and talking to you, they don't care. Jumping on a story 3 months in and throwing out somebody's name, why would you do that? It's very disrespectful. See, Mr. BK, you need to stay out of it. You don't want no trouble, then stay out of it. 5 law enforcement people know, tightly knit group. But yet you come out telling this information that was allegedly repeated to one person. And now all these people know the alleged story version that was told to a social worker by a boy child. So I'm going to ask the lady, why did you and your boyfriend go to YouTube and speak to a YouTuber on a public platform, but yet you fear backlash? You don't fear backlash. You're like everybody else. 5 minutes of fame, because how long do you think it's going to take before people find out who you and the boyfriend are? And the social worker, we already know allegedly it's Chase, who dates the social worker. So now it's a matter of plucking out the weeds and finding out the social worker's name and the two sitting here talking to Mr. BK. How nice. And you had the nerve to tell Mr. BK why you chose him. So that leads me to believe you've been watching his network, and you hear the man saying it here, getting upset at what people were saying on the channel. He wants to jump up there and say something. Say what exactly? You don't know BK from paint, what do you call it? A can of paint. You're like everybody else, thirsty. Attention seekers. Just jumping out, clown cars. You all are stacked high in that clown car. That'll be kind of smelly, stinky in there by now, don't you think? No regard for the children. Just spitting out stupid stuff with no verification. But I don't want to get involved. I've been to prison. I've changed my life. Blah, blah, blah. Well, if you changed your life, ma'am, you shouldn't be talking to BK. How about that? You shouldn't be up here talking about some mess that you don't have any verification of and saying, yeah, I want to help. I want to do the right thing. But you're going to tell the information to a YouTuber, but you wouldn't go to TBI or the sheriff's department. Listen to what you're saying, because that makes no damn sense. You're concerned about the welfare of a child and her brothers, but yet you're going to take some gossip and repeat it to a YouTuber who has done nothing but stir up trouble, also with the bio donors, but you don't think to take it to law enforcement. Because I got a pass, and I know how they act back in here, and how they treat us, and how they going to revere us. Well, then you should have kept your mouth closed. When your husband, boyfriend told you the 411, or as we say in the street, the 211, which means 9 times out of 10 it's probably a lie or a fabrication or a half-truth, you should have said, oh, okay, that sounds really bad. You should have left it alone. The social worker was out of line if indeed this is true. The social worker had no right repeating it to number one. Mouthpiece number one. Mouthpiece then took it to his friend. Then number 2 took it to this girlfriend, number 3. Then number 3 takes it to BK or Pookie Ray Ray or whoever. You all are sick. Or dropped it in somebody's chat, excuse me. Doesn't matter to me. Where it was dropped, where it was handed over to, is bogus. Because law officials have already told you to stop meddling, stop gossiping, stop calling us what he said, she said. I think it's interesting that she sits here and says she's a Christian, but yet she's listening to some woman channel who mentions some stuff about a carousel and this and that, and something about some clothes. Oh yeah, that's the boy's size. I didn't even understand what the hell they were talking about. What are you talking about? How do you know what size any of the children wear? I'll wait. You don't know them personally. So that means you're getting the information from what? The guy, and he got it from the girlfriend, that the boy wears what size clothes, and this woman who has visions sees this and this and mention the size clothes that the boy wears. And man, give me a break. Wasn't even thoroughly explained, so I don't even know what they're talking about. The hell you talking about? Body dumped in water, body of water, South Holston Lake, a vision. And yet you repeat that also as if it's relevant and factual. Shouldn't have repeated that. BK goes on to say he gets a lot of these calls. He's had 3 that were crackpots. You're a crackpot. The fuck you talking about? I ain't had but 3. I ain't had but 3, so... But you're a crackpot. You've been a crackpot since immersing yourself in the case of Cal City. And then you jumped your butt all the way in the pot way down here in East Tennessee, coming down here to their property. They letting you in because you was just a fly buzzing around. So they decided to let the dirty fly in their house, and you wreak havoc with other YouTubers. For what reason? And yet you want to sit up here on this live like you're a professional, talking mild-mannered as if you care for children, acting as if you care for your own child, and you're going to speak to your lawyer and your sidekick and your blah, blah, blah. You are not a law official. You don't work with any organization, period, to get involved, to pass any information to TBI, FBI, Sheriff's Department, Humane Society, nobody. You're just a random person that has a platform and just spews out garbage on a whim, moaning, crying, slobbering. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the living, and it's definitely disrespectful to the dead. And you all think this is a joke. This every day repeating nonsense. That's why I don't say anything anymore, because it's over with. Yes, he likes to think that he's important. He wants to be relevant because he's not relevant in his own life. And as I tell people, it's nothing wrong with being confident, tooting your own horn. But there comes a point when you need to learn to be quiet and lay in the cut and keep your legs closed, keep your tail between your legs, and keep your eye on the prize. You all don't have your eye on the prize. You all just like stirring up garbage. And this is utter garbage. Because as I said, if there was any truth to what the child said to this woman, police already knows it because they've already talked to the children. You think the police, FBI, TBI didn't talk to the children? You think they didn't ask them what did they do that morning? Where did they go? Where did the mother go? Where did Summer go? Where did the grandmother go? Where did the father go? What time did you get up? Who was at the house with you? What time did your mom return? What time did your dad return? You think law officials did not ask those said questions? You think the state workers weren't involved and asked the children what their life was like once they were confiscated from being circled away? I'll wait. There's something lacking in you people's lives that you continue to immerse yourselves in these true crime cases. BK goes on to say, I got to treat it like it's the real thing, though it's no push to report it. No, it ain't no push to report it because it's gossip. And it's none of your business. Telling this woman I got to get with my partner in crime. Yeah, he said, she said. And get with your attorneys. To do what exactly? You're going to get with your partners in crime, your attorneys, for what? What do you have attorneys for? Oh, because people like suing you because you don't know how to leave people alone and stalking people. You're talking about putting information out there. You want to be truthful with what you repeat. You want to get the names right because people will know how to find you and doing this, this, and this. Well, they know how to find you because you use your government name, stupid. You use your government name and then you stir up trouble. So hell yeah, they're going to come look for you, inbox you. They ride by your house. I'm going to be truthful. I'm really surprised you're walking around whole because you don't know how to stop meddling. And I hate having to go here today on this gossip, but I'm using all names because all names verified themselves in the audio. But this is despicable. And yet you still won't stop. 1 year in, you're still meddling in this case. And now you other ones jumping on the bandwagon, searching him out like he's a hero. Captain Save-A-Ho, he's nobody. He's a random person that's sick. And you're aiding the sickness when you went and looked for him to bring this foolishness. BK wanting a name. Want to talk to the guy, the chase guy. They're telling him, nah, he ain't gonna want to talk. But yet you're gonna give his name. That's some cold-blooded you know what. You're gonna go back and repeat gossip. Tell this network, oh, he don't want to talk to nobody. He don't want to get involved. But you're gonna give his government name because you think you're doing the right thing. It's important to get the truth out. So something happens to this chase guy, or he decides to find you, your boyfriend, and hit you to the white meat, or get somebody to slit one of your throats, then what? Since you know how we act down here in East Tennessee. You all are detrimental, and you all are what's wrong with the world. You don't know how to stay in your lane and stay out of the way. And then you're sitting here talking about you got children, you took them to the movies, all this, and you think this is appropriate behavior for a mother to go randomly reaching out to people with networks on YouTube to repeat gossip? This child is missing. Her brothers are gone. And then you got the nerve to sit up and say, this guy don't want nobody to know who he is, but yet you're going to put his name out there. What the F is wrong with you? Oh, I don't care. I just want the truth. This is important. Important to whom? Because we don't even know what we're listening to. More gossip, more he said, she said. And while somebody's rambling around, poking around in horse stables, why don't you ask the horses what they saw? How about that? Come here, little horsey. Well, how long were they here? Were they here all day? Do you all hear yourselves? How pathetic you sound? Repeating this garbage to people, repeating this garbage to these YouTubers. You people need help. And I realize with social media, it has helped amp up lonely people. It has given lonely people a voice, miserable people a voice, people with idle minds a voice, people who don't go nowhere but sit in the house all day eating Hostess cakes and Mountain Dew a voice. This is just ridiculous to me. This is so ridiculous to me because you all are not honoring the children with this he said, she said. And I hope for the children's sake that this is all gossip and rhetoric and not true. Because how effed up will it be that some of this information is true about the boy child, that he's numb, staring off into space, won't speak, at some Isaiah house, and now all that's leaked out, and you all act like the children don't watch YouTube, don't have access to a phone or social media. Just think about that for a second. And the fact that he goes on and on, Mr. BK, about where he puts his money, it's in some type of currency. I don't spend the YouTube money on bills. Who gives a rat's ass? Nobody knows what you do with your money. Who cares? You want somebody to believe that when you get a donation, you don't put it on a light bill or gas in your car? What the hell do you think we're from? Because what you do with your money is your business. But this is the reason why you're like everybody else. You're always testifying to something, proving something. I do this with my checkbook. I do this with my debit card. I don't put this over here. I don't care. You're meddling. That's where the problem is. You're meddling. You're not important. You're not involved in the case to any official capacity. You should just watch YouTube like it's a television set. And when you're tired of watching it, turn it off and go on about your business. And now BK wants to look out for this guy. Find this guy to talk to him after he's already told the people he ran the business to he don't want to talk. His name has been mentioned, which was so wrong. And I know you're going to end up blasting these people because you turned on Candace Blythe when she got hooked up with the other Willy Wonka. This is so disrespectful. That guy is going to be very pissed off that his name is now floating around social media. And you're going to turn on him. You're going to turn on all these people because that's what you do best. When you don't get your way with the people, they don't show you the attention and affection you desire, and they're strangers to you, mind you, you will turn on them. And eventually all this is going to lead back to the social worker, if indeed this social worker exists. Once you mention the guy's name, CG, people are going to start looking up his profile, put two and two together, see who's liking the things on his page. If he has pictures of the girlfriend, then people are going to know it's her. So for her sake, she better hope she's not a social worker and affiliated with the boy, child, or children. You all have made a grave mistake by talking if it's true. Just a bunch of thirsty folks. Chasing strangers around, talking to their so-called friends, repeating he said, she said. For what reason? You don't want to be revealed, but yet you give a man's name to a YouTuber on a live platform. Why on earth would you ever do this? You gave this information to the worst person on earth. And as I said, he turned on Candace Blythe. What the F? He goes on to say, Mr. BK, he ain't going to call officials, TBI, whomever. I got a better route, a direct route. Yeah, you got a direct route to the police department, sheriff's department. That's your direct route. Hopefully the sheriff's department has you blocked and you can't get through the line. And they're going on and on about names being revealed, blah, blah, blah. BK goes on to say he gives his word on everything I love. What is love exactly to you, Mr. BK? You don't even know what love is. You don't have any love, because if you had any love, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing, such as airing this out, phone calls repeated, recorded, all the foolishness you've exacted on YouTube in the past year. You immersed yourself in a case that's very vile in nature, and you were right there down for the take. And you didn't give a damn. And these people talking to you are vile. They've been watching your content, and they like you because they are like you. You see, like minds drift together. How the hell could anybody say, I like your content? Well, obviously they haven't watched you. We are acting a fool and cussing people out, name calling. Foaming at the mouth like a rabid dog, disrespecting others who haven't done anything to you. So the fact that I picked you because you seem like you're level-headed. Well, you must be high on dope too, lady. Yeah, I'm calling you out. What in the hell is wrong with you? This is the only person on the network you could find to bring this information. You could have just went to your Facebook page and just said, hey, this is what I heard. I'm wondering if there's any truth to it. And you could have discussed this with your damn Facebook friends, not YouTube Nation. This is the worst place to tell anything, because there's people here who are not invested in the story. They don't really care about the participants in the story, the victims in the story. It's just, as people been saying, yes, an easy paycheck, a way to come up, get you a car, some new furniture, toaster, blender, whatever. And 5 minutes of clout. Likes, views, and shares. That's all it's about. That's all it's ever been about. The guy goes on to say, I know his dad, he's a rich kid. Huh? He's a rich kid. So now you want to set the kid up to be what? Robbed? Hey, man, they're talking about you on YouTube. Your friend said he's a rich kid. You're a rich kid. Like they say, who needs enemies when you have friends like these? He goes on to say, Mr. BK, he don't want no trouble either. They're all talking simultaneously over each other. We don't want no trouble. But you're stirring up trouble by airing this BS on a live network. Thank you, Tupelo. You put a man's name on blast. And you had no right, lady, to mention his name on a live platform. Because if the guy said he didn't want to be involved, you should have kept whatever information he told you, whether it was true or not. You should have kept it close to the vest and kept it moving. But you're like everybody else. You want 5 minutes of fame off of a kid that's possibly dead, children removed and in foster care, to spew more venom and lies when the law officials have told you all to shut up and stop passing these lies around. You don't give a damn. You don't care about Summer Wells. You don't care about them boys. And this creator, he don't care about him. Buffoon, not a creator. I don't want to get the name wrong. Everybody knows how to find me. As I said, they know how to find you because you don't shut up. You stay on social media with your government name. That was your dumb ass. We see how interested you are, invested in these cases. That's why we sought you out. Yeah, clout seekers. Fans of BK, I knew it all along. You all were fans of his. You watched his content. That's why you sought him out. Because if you really cared for children, your own self-respect, he would be the last person you'd have carried this bone to. And like I said, I don't really give a damn what he does with his money and where he puts it. That's his own private business. I wanted to get on there and say something, then bashing you and talking bad about you. Say what, sir? You want to get on somebody's channel and respond to people not liking him for what reason? What do you care? Don't you have a life, a wife, children, a job? Shouldn't you be focused on that? Focus on bettering your life, your circumstances, This woman sits here and talks about she's been to prison, whatever the reason was. She don't want problems and trouble. Yet she gets on a platform and talk and spew this venom and give somebody's government name out. But yet you don't like trouble. So what the hell do you think you just did? You put a man's name out there. You had no right. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Free Thinker. Thank you all for the donations. God bless all of you. You had no right to put his name out there. Because what if these are all lies? He's making up stuff. The girlfriend made up stuff. We don't even know these people. Just like we don't know any of these people. I don't know the horse stable junkie. I don't know the people at the smoke shop. I don't know Allie. I don't know Boy H, Jose, Pookie, Bubba, the guy that worked with Don. Do you see where this is going? You don't know these people. You can only take what they're saying at face value. But in the end, you don't know the motivation behind the information. And you always have to be careful of the messenger. It's an old saying. Thank you, Coco. You have to be very careful of the messenger. Sometimes the messenger is decent. They are concerned, but you still risk problems by repeating stuff because there's always the chance that the person you're repeating the information to, they're going to go back and throw your name out there and say, hey, let me tell you what Pookie said. Let me tell you what Don said. Let me tell you what Mary said. Let me tell you what Jane said. Now you got to go back and clear up whatever you passed along and say, well, I don't know if it's true or not, but this is what they told me. It's not good enough. Because why do you want to loop yourself into a crime? This is a real crime. This is not a TV show. This is not Lifetime. This is not Netflix. This is not the Tubi Roku channel. A real child's missing and real children are in foster care. And you're repeating gossip that could risk somebody's livelihood and job, and she had no business telling it if indeed it's true. Somebody in the chat say it's been debunked. I ain't never worried about it being true, no way. I'm just bringing the information to some of the fans that this is why the case is in the shape that it's in, because people won't stop meddling and passing lies and rumors. Bristol, Tennessee is where allegedly the guy is from. Well, I'm going to say this to you, CG. I'm not going to say your name anymore. Anybody wants to go back to the early commentary to get his full name, if indeed it's true, I feel sorry for you. And I feel sorry for the girl that you're dating. I feel sorry for if indeed half of the BS that's been repeated is true. I feel sorry if indeed she's a social worker, counselor. I feel sorry for her. Because if indeed she works with the State Department in any capacity, the court system, she just sealed her fate by repeating personal information to you. And then you carried the bone to this guy. And then this guy carried the information to his girl pal. And then the girl pal finds BK. And the rest is history. And whoever dropped it in the chat or wherever it started, everybody picked up the pieces. And that's the point of the story. It should have never been repeated for nobody to pick it up and pass it along. So I don't really care where it originated. Social worker is the start, allegedly. Whoever dropped it over here, over there, you had no right. You had no right. Well, he didn't have any business reporting it to the FBI because it's gossip. You don't know these people. You never met them before. They're not your friends. So why would you report it to the FBI? Because this goes back to what I just said, so you all don't listen. If indeed the child told law officials what happened, then the law officials already know about an alleged selling of a child, killing of a child, throat slash, whatever. That's the point. So you all don't listen. How do you think the Cal City case got to Bakersfield? Because the children told their involvement of the case. They didn't reveal it to us, but Bakersfield knew what happened with the children and they kept it mum. So once again, if the children are involved in the disappearance of their sister, have knowledge of their sister, were with her when there was a transaction of any sort, murder, passing, accident, you think they have not told law officials what happened? 3 boys. 4 boys, rather. You want me to believe out of that amount of children, somebody didn't tell law officials what happened at the house if they were actually witnesses to a crime, a party to a crime, overheard conversations of a crime? You want me to also believe the parents would let these children be in earshot of a crime? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Just saying. They have to know that law officials would interrogate their children and ask them questions. Hey, what happened here? When did you last see your sister? How was she feeling? How was she looking? What did she have on? You think law officials have not asked the children those questions? You think they didn't ask the children what happened on June 15th, 2021? Come on now. And 9 times out of 10, one of the children told whatever they saw or heard. So if indeed there was an accident, a deliberate murder, and the children were there, they're going to tell it. And they've already told it, past tense. So this extra stuff of this person dropping information in the chat, he picked it up, he called his lawyer, his sidekick, FBI. It doesn't matter because he doesn't have a dog in the race. It's not his problem. It's none of his concern. It's none of his business, just like it's none of my business because I wasn't there June 15th. I don't know what happened to the child. But I'm not going to go out here and spread rumors and lies about what I think happened at that house and say verbatim, yeah, I know what happened. Because I don't. I can say the parents look guilty and they act like they have knowledge of what happened, but I can't say verbatim what happened and who did what to Summer Wells. That's my commentary today. I'm tired of hearing about Utah. I'm tired of hearing about people spreading stories about Donald Wells and what he did to whomever back in the old days. Because as I said, if Donald Wells was such a horrible person, why in the world would you try to take his children? Why didn't you take his children, excuse me? Why didn't you file for custody of his said children, sisters, stepsisters? Why didn't you all report that he was a sadist a long time ago when he had his first set of children? You see, you coming in now saying these things because Summer Wells is missing, it's disrespectful to his other children. And some of you forget he does have other children, Donald Wells. So why is it about Summer? Because she's missing. Well, let me tell him what he did to me as a child. But you didn't think this information wasn't important when he had custody of his other children before he met Candace Bly. Those other children mattered. You sitting up on a platform saying he tried to sell his child, his boy child, on the street for drugs, dope, money, whatever. So did you, Mary, go to law enforcement to say, hey, my brother tried to sell his children? The wife has knowledge. They're both guilty. Okay, they did. Well, the point still remains. Why are we focusing on all this essay now? All that should have came out when he had children, before Candace Bly, because there are definitely other children who were affected by Donald and his wife's behavior. This is way before Candace Bly ever came into the picture. Candace Bly is an after effect. Donald was a misfit before with children. So all this information should have been out before. And maybe we wouldn't have a Summer Wells story. Stay woke. See, that's what's wrong with everybody. You're picking and choosing when to bring out information, such as these goofy ass people here with the I don't know this. I didn't hear it until then. The title of the video says that people had information 2 months ahead of time. He had information, BK, whatever. It's all the same to me. You have information on what? Because you don't even know what's the truth or not. You don't know what happened to Summer Wells. And I'm not here to knock a psychic, but I don't want to hear anything about a psychic. I don't want to hear anything about carousels. I don't want to hear anything about a lake. I don't want to hear anything about a pond. I don't want to hear anything about a swimming hole. I don't want to hear anything about nothing. Because in the end, the searchers continue to go to Beach Creek Community bingo card. Because they obviously have something of value to keep putting them out there. Stay woke. You think they're just out there in Beach Creek because they're bored searching for the child. And naturally, they will be looking for remains. So this will be a recovery. They have no reason to be out there continuously unless they have information that Summer Wells is discarded out there. And we now know from dealing with Cal City, they are not going to tell you nothing. They're going to play like we don't have anything. We don't have any leads. Maybe they do. And they refuse to give us this information because naturally it's an open investigation and there's still an Amber Alert out for the child. But I think it's very sickening. It is 1 year in and there's no new information. All these allegations of a red truck or scream have basically been debunked, not further validated by law officials. 50,000 different people jumping out of clown cars to tell us about Candace Bly and Donald Wells as people. But in the end, there is no Summer Wells. Well, Sally, it was a matter of her wrapping her knee, allegedly. You're entitled to believe what you want about the disappearance of Summer Wells. You're entitled to believe her parents participated in her disappearance or not. You're entitled to believe if the grandmother is involved, has knowledge. You're entitled to believe if Rose Bly is a connection. You're entitled to believe if other neighbors are involved, have knowledge. You're entitled to believe whatever you want. But the one thing Queen will not do is engage in just utter foolishness day for day because it is old and it's redundant at this point. Most of us have rehashed their commentary, the videos, the interviews with Miss Ansley 1,000 times. Flip the videos over and over and over and over because you have nothing else to talk about but to go back to the beginning to play what he said, she said, how they looked, how they acted, what Pookie said, Ray Ray said. But in the end, there is still no Summer Wells. And as I said, Mary and these other women should have came forward when Donald Wells bore children. The wife bore children. You were so concerned that he was a sadist, you should have went to authorities a long time ago to say, just so you know, he is an addict, he stays in trouble with the law, and he has sexually assaulted girl children. But you see, you didn't go say anything because possibly you didn't know of him assaulting his own children, physically or sexually. So you didn't say anything. And then you waited till Summer went missing, a child you don't visit or see or have a relationship with, to now bring out allegations that are old. And in the end, law officials have not verified any sexual misdeeds by Candace Bly and Donald Wells toward any of their children, and nor has the Department of Human Services. Will they get their children back? Have their rights been severed? The Wells. Where is Candace Bly? Will Donald Wells get out by August of this year? Or will he do the full 11 months, 29 days? And what is the truth to their involvement in the disappearance of Summer Wells? Are they both complicit? Is one covering for the other? Did they try to sell their children on that fateful day? The child ran off, got hurt, which makes no sense. Was the child discarded in a lake? Was the child's throat cut? Is this all just innuendo and people bored wanting to stir up more mess? Or is there some truth to these alleged allegations from a social worker? And if indeed the allegations are true, whole and partial, what will happen to this woman? Because now that a Isaiah house has been mentioned, it's only a matter of time her full government name will be revealed, and she will have to stand account to her superiors to why she was out here giving personal information pertaining to a boy child that's in state's custody. And another thing that's rubbing me the wrong way is allegedly the children are not in this demographic. So if they were going to see counselors, I doubt that they will be seeing counselors in the Rogersville area. They will be seeing counselors closer to their own foster home, I would assume, because then that means they'd have to drive whatever the distance is to come back this region to see a therapist. I don't know. But that did cross my mind before going live. If indeed the children are seeing a therapist presently, wouldn't it be beneficial to see a counselor closer to them where they live than driving all the way back up here to Rogersville? Thank you, sweetheart. So you have to think about everything and put logic with the process. This other stuff is just buffoonery. And it's a mockery to Summer Wells, and it's a mockery to her brothers. And it's a mockery to missing people, true crime. Because this is not how it's supposed to be. A lot of people are missing right now, and you do not have all this backlash and buffoonery on the wire pertaining to their disappearance. And many people have asked, why are you people invested in Summer Wells and doing all this buffoonery and pretending that you care, but you don't? And making up stuff and passing stuff and acting like you're eye spies and private investigators when you're not. And I do not condone any of it. And to say that these people have been helpful to the case is a bold-faced lie. Most of you have done nothing but made a mockery out of this case, and you're still up here bickering back and forth about he said and she said and why you ain't do this and you didn't do this, when in the end, none of you know Summer Wells, her brothers, Donald or Candace. And you need to stay in your lane. You want to be helpful, just give the information that is valid. Because that's all we've been doing is taking what somebody else said on their network and upload videos about what they heard, said, and who they talked to, and asking the chat, well, hello, chat, how do you think about what was said over on Pookie's channel and what Pookie called in and said and what Pookie said happened in 1912? Hey, chat, what do you think about that? That's what I'm doing now. Asking you, what do you think about a social worker telling a child's personal business? And a YouTuber getting immersed back into the fold once again. This is sickening. And I brought you this content to show you why people have not learned anything from what TBI asked them not to do this week. It's not to pass rumors and lies about the child. Do not call their number, 1-800 number or police department, with stories and anything you heard in a YouTube video. And you all went right ahead and contacted a YouTuber to pass this messed up junk. And now it's the talk of the town in less than 24 hours. You're very disrespectful. And frankly, I would have never wished harm on Summer and her brothers. But God knew best for whatever has happened. And when you look at how you all are behaving, she had no business with the Wells nor her brothers. Because this is what she would have had to endure even without social media. A bunch of misfits rearing her and her brothers, pushing them children into the abyss. They didn't have a chance. And that is the reason why this story is running amok on a social network, because the children never had a chance. And the mother's MIA and the father's currently in a jail because they never cared for their children. They never cared for their other children because they never cared for themselves. Self-preservation is number one. If you'd like to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Thank you all for the super stickers. God bless all of you. Have a safe weekend. If you see something, say something. I will be bringing you probably tomorrow a crime vault pertaining to the very harrowing case of a young girl who was sold to a black man by her mother and found in an abandoned house in Alabama City. And I think most of you know this tale. It is a very riveting tale. It is a very despicable tale. And it shows you do not know people. And that even when the parents speak of their children as if they love their children, the evidence tells you otherwise. There is no love in the street. And most of these tales pertaining to missing children, abused children, is about street people who have no regard for themselves or their kids. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Be an advocate, not an instigator. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.